Ground movement is one of the best ways to develop mobility that applies to daily life and sport. In this video, I'll be guiding you through the lateral roll series. This is an accessible flow that I use with my clients to build integrated hip, spine, and shoulder mobility. I also use this series with jiu-jitsu and MMA athletes for warm-ups and to build a solid ground movement foundation. Whoever you are and whatever level you're at, I'm confident that this flow will feel good and get you more connected with your body. So we're gonna start with the lateral roll and build on that movement throughout the series. And I do recommend having a mat or a rug or being on some padding if this is your first time doing it. And you can gradually start to reduce the amount of padding as you get more familiar with the ground. Look through my legs with my feet planted on the ground. I'm gonna answer 2 phones here, and I don't need to crunch a bunch here, okay? Just enough where I can look through my legs. And all I'm gonna do is roll over to my side, keep those eyes forward, and then pass through the center and roll over to the other side. I wanna keep my breathing nice and relaxed. Feeling out the back of my rib cage. Rather than kind of collapse into the ground here, I want to get used to creating a little bit of force. It's not like I have to go crazy with it, but if I can create a little bit of force throughout contacting the ground, now I can really start to feel into a bigger frame. Allowing those legs to swivel through a shin box or a 90-90 position. Just wake up the spine, wake up the hips, and wake up those shoulders. So the next time I roll over to my side, I want to feel a little side bend action here. So a little side bend, and then I'm going to drive through this left foot, that trail foot. Take my eyes up as I reach my hand above my head, and then I pull that back down, pass through the center. Same thing, a little side bend, extend through the neck, looking where your hand is reaching, and then passing through the center. And so this is gonna really wake up the shoulders a little bit more, and also start to factor in your vision in your eyes. And so you can see that extension through the neck. And one thing I like to do with this one is drive through the heel of my hand like I'm pressing. And when I do that, it just gives me a little bit more stretch through that arm line as that feeds into the torso. And remember to use those eyes to drive the movement. That's going to be an important key as we continue with this series. Now we're just going to change the direction of the reach, and that's going to change the experience of the movement. Bring those eyes up, looking between my legs, answering those 2 phones. I'm going to roll over to my right side, and I'm going to reach my left hand diagonally across the body. That reach can be more of that press like I was talking about, and that really can lengthen some of the tissue through the arm line. And I'm just resting on this side, creating a little force into the ground. Passing through the center, I switch, and then I'm pressing, reaching through that other arm. If I reach with the shoulder as well, I can start to spiral through that arm line and start to stretch a little bit more through my torso. We can start to drive a little bit more through that trail foot to facilitate some connection through the lower body, up through the spine and into the shoulders. As I roll over to one side and I go through that diagonal reach, I'm going to continue to reach through. Now notice I start to roll onto my forearm, and then I'm going to roll that wrist over so I press through the hand. And that allows me to start to lean forward a bit. Then I'm going to roll back through that forearm, pass through the center, and then same thing with that reach. I continue to reach, that takes me onto the forearm, and then I roll back through the forearm, roll back through that upper back, and come back to the other side. What's feeling natural for me is the inhale on the reach, exhale through the center, but that could just be this morning. It could change. You could play around with the different breathing patterns. Now, what happens if I change the angle of my reach? So let's say I go up a little bit more, okay? So I'm reaching up, I continue to reach up, and I press through that hand, and now I can come back down to the forearm, roll through, switch sides, reach up, drive through that hand, come back down, and roll through the side body. It reminds me of the roll pattern that applies to a Turkish get-up or some different get-up variations. And I also want to continue to work on that mobility through the shoulder. But I also get some of that mobility through that forearm and the elbow. And then I can drive through and really work on how that arm rolls and interacts with the ground. And this is going to be really important for any sort of fun, flowy ground movement that you're able to go from that hand support or that forearm support and roll through that upper back. Now we're gonna take it into a little flow. All we're going to do is one on each side of each roll. I'm gonna start with that base lateral roll. So I'm gonna tuck the chin, look through my legs, answer those two phones, roll to the right, roll to the left, and I'm gonna roll to the right and reach overhead, roll to the left, reach overhead. I'm gonna roll to the right, reach diagonally. Roll to the left, reach diagonally. Roll to the right, come up on the forearm. Roll to the left, coming up on the forearm. And then roll to the right, coming up on the hand, reaching up. Rolling back through to the left, driving through the hand, reaching up. So let's come back to that lateral roll. Lateral roll. Reaching overhead. Reaching overhead. Diagonal reach. Diagonal reach. Diagonal reach coming up on the forearm. Diagonal reach coming up on the forearm. And then reaching up, coming up on the hand. Coming back through. Coming up on the hand. Coming back through. Let's go through that one more time. So roll. Overhead reach. Diagonal reach. Forearm. And lastly, coming up on that hand. There you have it, the lateral roll series, 5 different variations of that lateral roll that you can play around with. You also got that simple flow that you can use for 5-10 minutes of ground movement to get you feeling good and connected with your body. Let me know how you're feeling right now in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to Smoov for more videos just like this one. I'll see you next time. Stay smooth.